Hey, welcome back. This is Defender Chassis. My name's Scott, and this is update number 8, day 90, September 16th for the new shop project. It's been a couple of weeks since I gave you an update. Hasn't been a whole lot going on. I've had some other projects that I need to get completed to put a little cash in the bank, but those are done. And we're back out here trying to get prepared for the framers to come in and put the rest of this building up. A few things got to happen before that time. The water line's got to go in. The foundation needs to get coated and painted so it can get backfilled. The backfill can happen at any time. In fact, part of it's already happened, but where I needed to, where it's actually the part above grade on the inside that is going to get backfilled on the outside needed to be damp proofed, and I stress the word damp proof instead of waterproof. That's what I want to talk about first. Is that's what I've been doing the last couple of days. And what I did was put an asphalt coating on all those areas that are going to be below grade, that are higher than what the finished floor will be on the inside. And there are companies that will come around and spray stuff on. You know, if you've got a basement or something of that nature that you're really concerned about being damp, but that comes with some cost. And my foundation contractor suggested that I just go to Lowe's and pick up some foundation coating and do it myself. And I'm not, now that that's complete, I'm not unhappy with that decision. But just to show you what I used, it's this material here made by Blackjack, and I'm sure that if you don't have this wherever you're at in the country, there's some similar product available. It's actually a roof coating as well as a foundation coating, and I bought 2 buckets of this stuff. It's just shy of 5 gallons, and they had it on sale. I think ended up being $32 for a pail. Now there are different materials available. I chose this one for a specific reason, that being that it came in a metal can. And the reason is, let me move the camera and let me show you what I did. This is my burner for my turkey fryer, and if you're not familiar with these, I've got a big aluminum pot that filled with peanut oil and heat the stuff up, and you can deep fry your turkey or whatever in this thing. And so what I did was I put these pails of asphalt coating on this burner on a real low setting, and then I got some heat in them. And now while I was doing that, I had to keep stirring it, because it will it'll flash fairly quickly, so it'll start bubbling right away, a lot quicker than like water would boil or something. So anticipating that was going to be the case, what I did was I prepared ahead of time and had and built a stirrer. Now you can buy stirrers like this one. Now what this is for is drywall mud, and you can stir up a bucket of well, they're not 5 gallons, but like 4-gallon bucket of drywall mud with something like this, or they even got a little smaller deal, something like this. Now I use this on like gallons of paint if you know, don't use them right away after they shake them at the paint store. You can buy these, but not wanting to get asphalt on one of these, because I just can't imagine trying to clean the thing up. I just went ahead and put one together, and what I did was, this is a piece of 1/2-inch bar stock, and then I had a piece of flat bar. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like probably 1/8 by inch or 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. And just cut a section, I don't know, that's about 2/3 the diameter of this bucket. Drilled a hole in the center, stuck the rod through, welded it on both sides, and then stuck it in the vise and put a bend on it to give it a shape like a propeller. Stuck it on a 1/2-inch drill and kept this stuff stirred up while I was putting heat in it. And I can say, because I did do a little bit of touch-up with a cold bucket, and I can tell you that it's much easier getting this material on with a little bit of heat in it than it is when it's cold. When I say cold, I mean, you know, we're in the middle of summer here, and it's typically we're getting in the high 80s, low 90s every day. So we're not talking about freezing temperatures. We're just talking about ambient temperatures. Now, I'm not unhappy with the way the material went on, but I am unhappy with the advice I got from the home store. And I won't say which home store Lowe's, but I asked how to apply this or what to apply it with, and what they sold me was what they call a masonry brush, and that's what this thing looks like. And while it works, boy, I'd have been all week trying to get that foundation coated. I mean, on the back side of that, it's 60 foot long, 40 feet, and I did use this brush some, but when I started, that's what I was putting it on with, but it just took forever. So what I ended up doing was getting into my painting supplies, and I got a roller, and I had a roller frame that was old, and I just went ahead and stuck I don't know how good of a roller it was, whatever I had, the thickest nap, I believe it was 1/2 inch. Now my advice would be to go with whatever, if you go buy stuff to do this, that if you can get a nap thicker than a 1/2 inch on a roller, that you go with as thick as you can get. If the foundation was smooth, I've got that brick texture to mine. If it was a smooth, like a flat face, you probably wouldn't need that. But because those mortar joints and stuff, or those faux mortar joints in the brick, it makes it real difficult to get in there. And we'll take a walk, and I've got a few spots I still need to go back and touch up. Seems like every time I walk around and look at it, I find a new little spot. And what makes it difficult is that this asphalt coating is shiny. And if you're out here in the sun, you got a pair of sunglasses on, you're trying to do this, and that concrete, that cured concrete, is a very light gray. And if you miss a spot, it almost resembles the shiny part of the asphalt coating. So that's a little challenging, but I mean, it's nothing you can't overcome. If I had my druthers, probably what I would have done was had somebody work with me while I was doing this, and then had them follow me with the brush and let me apply as heavy as I needed to the coating with the roller, and then let them be my eyes behind me and hit the touch-up spots. So I think it would have went a lot faster that way, because I did spend some time putting the roller down, picking the brush up, and things of that nature. But you do with what you got. So I think that's all I wanted to show you on this, other than we'll go take a walk and look. Now, I probably should have already told you, I did take a day, not really a day, a half a day, and I had, my father's got a pressure washer. It's about 2,500 PSI, which is not extreme, but it was enough that those bubbles in the face of the concrete, where they didn't get the forms vibrated out well enough. There were some areas that I was afraid that where the concrete was so thin that if we just painted it, that stuff would eventually break away, and then we'd leave a bare spot that wasn't painted. So that, and it would be tough in some of those little places to get this asphalt coating back in. And I thought if we just smeared it over the top, it would leave an air bubble behind that might inhibit the effectiveness of the material. So what we did was, my dad couldn't start until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we started about 4 o'clock, and we power washed the whole thing, and focused not so much on cleaning, but those spots where there were those bubbles, getting that power washer in there and trying to shoot that water in there and blast it out to get anything that might easily break away, to get it to come off. And it's worth noting that while we did this, I could feel on my skin, because I got soaked while I was doing this, didn't even try to stay dry, that I could feel bits of concrete hitting my skin, and it was pretty much constant. So there was more coming off than just those pieces in those holes. So probably a worthwhile endeavor, even if we didn't have those holidays in the surface. It'll probably result in a much better longer lasting painting job. So let me pick the camera up and take you around to the back side and show you where we started and what we did over there with this foundation coating. Okay, so this is effectively the back side of the garage, the opposite of the side with the doors, although the side opposite the road is on back here. But this is the area where the footer was stepped, so we went from a 4-foot wall to a 6-foot wall. Now, I wish they would have put this joint farther that way, because as I think you can see, the dirt over here isn't really 2 foot higher than the footer, and for frost protection, that's what we really needed to do. So what I did was, and this will give me a good gauge when they backfill, is that I struck a chalk line 20 inches above the top of the footer, and then ran that to the back to where the height I thought it needed to be in the back, so that you know, it was a smooth transition as I coated, and that way we'll be able to fill up against this, and the excavators will know that they just need to get above that asphalt area. So let's go on back and look. So here we are on the back side, and I'm not sure how well this will show up on camera, but there are places on here where there are bubbles. Like right here, there's a bubble in the material, and the only thing I can say is that must be where maybe I got the material on a little bit too thick, and as it let off solvents within the material, it created those bubbles. If you bust one of those bubbles, it's actually coated underneath, so it's not like, you know, there's a spot that is uncoated, you know, underneath of that bubble. It's just a little pocket of gas. Now, it's also worth noting that I painted all the way down to the footer, and then made sure that we got a couple inches onto the footer. Now, this material is not supposed to prevent, you know, water from running through. There will be a French drain here to help take water away from the foundation if that's a problem. But what this is to do is to prevent dampness. So if the dirt and everything in here gets moist, that it's not going to transfer that moisture through the concrete. Let's go on down and let me show you what some of the spots look like where I missed. And I think we pretty well got everything, although we took one last look through. Now, see, I marked with a piece of concrete. There were some spots right here. Let me get you up close. You can see right here, there is some spots where you can see the concrete. I'll have to come back and touch that up with that brush. But, you know, they kind of resemble these shiny spots. So let's go on down. There should be some missed spots here somewhere. Yeah, here and here and here, through here and here. Let me go on down to where the other step in the foundation is. Now, you notice that I only went down so far. I didn't go all the way down to the footer where the wall is 6 foot tall. There's really not a need for that. Obviously, there's a gap in the foundation there, so any water that wants to get underneath is gonna get underneath. But what this coating is for is, like I say, just damp proofing. So let's get on up out of here. And the last little piece, you can see, and I again tapered that off. Obviously the ground here will be steeper than on that back side. And you can see, well, maybe you can't see through there. There's a lot more bubbles on this, and I think that's due to I got to the end and just wasn't worried about material, and was putting it on as thick as I could carry on the roller. All right, hey, let's go look at this other building. I'm going to paint the foundation on this new building on the outside and the inside. Now, we'll probably end up doing 2 coats, but I think I'm going to do 1 coat before they build, and then come back, and it may be even next spring, on the outside and do the 2nd coat. Now, the inside I'm not real sure about, because the inside will have concrete, and whatever we paint, they're going to slop concrete up on it. So if it can't be cleaned off, then we'll have to put a 2nd coat on, which, you know, 2 coats is really a better deal anyway. So we'll get that next coat here, or get the 1st coat on anyway on both sides. But when we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint this other garage. And one of the things that I'm debating on, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have them put a new roof. Let's go ahead and go over there and get the camera adjusted. And I've went ahead and signed a contract with the same guy's going to frame the building, and they're going to put a roof on this building. Now, the colors are going to be brown and Hawaiian blue, and we want this building to match. Now, the doors in this building won't be replaced right away, but what we will do is we'll paint these, the ones that are here, just so that everything matches. We don't have anything white, because there won't be any white on that building. It'll have a brown roof, brown trim, gutters, downspouts, and doors will all be brown, and the body will be blue. And we want to do the same thing here. Now, of course, on that building, the blue will be metal. Here we want to paint, so we'll get some matching paint to do this, and I want to get all that done before they come to build this building, so that when they put the roof on, then effectively this building will be done as far as aesthetics on the outside. But I had thought about when they do the roof, they're going to do gutters as well, but the trim, the soffit and the fascia, I thought, well, it's really in pretty good shape, that we would just paint it. But I've got a little problem with my sprayer, and I'm not sure. It's going to cost me a new gun, which is 70-80 bucks to get it up and running, and I'm not sure whether the time I do that, whether it wouldn't just be beneficial to go ahead and buy new soffit and fascia and install that rather than painting this. That way we can strip away all of all the trim on this building, and then just paint the building, and then come back and paint the doors brown. Now the other twist to that is the gable ends, which is T111 siding. And let me show you, we've got a spot like right there where that, basically that's plywood with grooves cut in it, and that surface is really in bad shape. And my concern is, and we've got a similar situation on the back side. Take you to look at that. You can see all this soffit and fascia is really in good enough shape that if it was painted, it would be good to go. But the T111 back here, the south side of the building, it gets a little more weather, and you can see right there where that's failing. So, if we painted that, I don't know what we'd get, maybe 3 years out of the coating. So the question is, what do we do there? And I've considered several options. One of which would be to put the blue metal siding over that plywood. And the problem with that is that it would then still stick out. You would have this edge with that metal siding, and you'd be able to look up underneath of it and see that plywood edge. Now we could go ahead and strip that siding off and put the metal siding directly onto the framework, but vertical siding needs a horizontal, like a girt to screw to. If not, your lines of screws can't be evenly spaced. So I'm not sure that is going to look right. So the other option would be The other option would be to do like vinyl siding, but the problem is you can't get blue vinyl siding that's going to match. So then you'd end up painting the vinyl siding as well, or we could just go with brown. Now that would make it look different than the other building, because the gables on the other building are going to be blue all the way up to the soffit. And then you wouldn't have anything behind the vinyl on this building to support it or anything, although I don't think that would be too much of a problem. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm going through right now. So, hey, listen. Like I said last time, these videos run on for you, and I can look at this, and I know we're going on probably 15-20 minutes on this video. Hit that little button down there and speed it up if you want. You can listen a lot faster than I can talk. So listen, I appreciate you watching, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you on the next update. Thanks for watching.